Big news in the foldable world, and no, this time it's not just about Apple's iPhone Fold. While the first foldable iPhone is still on track for a late 2026 release, the company's already looking beyond that. According to a new report, Apple's also working on something much bigger, literally and conceptually, and that's a foldable device with a massive 18.8-inch display. We're talking about a potential MacBook-iPad hybrid, possibly running macOS with a foldable touchscreen. It's touted to be Apple's next big thing, or at least it was. Because here's the thing, while the iPhone Fold's development is progressing nicely, the larger foldable, it's reportedly delayed. A new research note from investment firm GF Securities, specifically from lead analyst Jeff Poo, says the 18.8-inch foldable was originally scheduled to hit mass production in Q4 2026, but that's no longer the case. According to Poo, the device is now likely to be postponed with no firm new timeline. And honestly, that's not surprising when it comes to this larger foldable. The rumor mill has been all over the place. Some believe it's going to be a foldable MacBook with a full macOS experience. Others, like Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, described it as a foldable iPad with a 20-inch display. Ross Young says it's more of a tablet-laptop hybrid, so I'm guessing that implies a mix of both. But who knows at this point? No one seems to have a bloody clue. And this confusion stems from one key factor: software. If this device runs iPadOS, then it's basically a giant foldable iPad. But if it runs macOS, now you're looking at an entirely new category, a Mac that folds. Well, technically Macs do fold right now, but this will be one large display that folds. Gurman thinks Apple's actively blurring the lines between macOS and iPadOS to make this hybrid possible. Apparently some of the recent changes we saw with iPadOS 16 and macOS Tahoe are deliberately laying the groundwork for future touchscreen Macs and foldables, and that makes sense. Apple's been inching towards that convergence for years. We saw a lot of macOS-like multitasking features with iPadOS this year. So why does that matter? Because if Apple's able to combine macOS power with iPad flexibility and foldable hardware, that's potentially a game changer. Imagine a MacBook that folds out into a 20-inch canvas for video editing, illustration, coding, and folds into a portable size for travel. That's a dream. But dreams take time, and according to Poo, will be dreaming a little longer than expected. Originally, both the iPhone 18 Fold and the larger hybrid were said to be moving into mass production around the same time, end of 2026. Now the iPhone's sticking to that schedule, but the 18.8-inch device has fallen behind. No specific reason was given for the delay, but I'm guessing when you're trying to re-engineer the MacBook, iPad, and possibly iPadOS all at once, yeah, timelines can slip. Quick break: if you're enjoying this deep dive and you want to stay on top of all the latest Apple leaks, hit that subscribe button. I've got more breakdowns coming like this every week, and I'm getting close to 20,000 subscribers, so your support would be appreciated. Don't miss out. Anyway, the iPhone Fold is still very much happening, and that's where things get interesting. While we wait for the hybrid foldable, Apple's first foldable iPhone is shaping up to be the launchpad for its entire foldable strategy. Production of foldable panels have already begun, and the supplier, Samsung Display, the same company that's been building foldables for Samsung's own devices since 2019, is now making Apple's panels at their A3 facility in South Korea. Samsung's even building out a dedicated production line for Apple with the capacity to pump out 15 million OLED panels per year. But Apple's starting small, around 6 to 8 million units expected in 2026. Sounds familiar? Well, that's exactly what happened with the OLED rollout on the iPhone X. Exclusive supplier, smaller volume, scale later. And Apple's really not messing around here. Foxconn's already preparing the assembly line, and full-scale production is reportedly set to kick off in late Q3 or early Q4 of next year. If that happens, we're looking at a full 2026 launch for the iPhone Fold, right alongside the iPhone 18 series, Quo's backing that date, the supply chain's whispering, and Samsung's already delivering panels. This thing is happening. Now here's where we connect the dots. Apple's not just building a foldable iPhone for fun. This is the first step, a test run, a way to learn from the market, from durability, from software optimization, before scaling up to bigger, more complex devices, like the MacBook iPad hybrids. Let's talk briefly about what we know about the iPhone Fold, since it lays the groundwork. Apple's going for a book-style design similar to the Galaxy Z Folds. When closed, you got a 5.5-inch outer display, pocketable and practical. Open it up and boom, a 7.8-inch mini tablet inside. LTPO panels on both, 120Hz ProMotion, 4:3 aspect ratio, and near iPad mini levels of usability. Resolution-wise, the inner screen comes in at 2713 by 1920. The cover screen is 2088 by 1422. But the big news is the crease, or rather the lack thereof. Apple's working with lens technology and ultra-thin glass with integrated touch sensors, thinner panels, improved brightness, and most importantly, no visible folds. If that holds up, they'll have a serious edge over Samsung, whose Galaxy Fold 7 still shows a slight crease. And it's not just the display that's getting special treatment. The entire body is being built around a titanium alloy chassis with a liquid metal hinge. Liquid metal sounds like Terminator technology, but it's real. Apple's been patenting this for years. It's stronger than aluminium, resists dents, and maintains structural integrity after thousands of folds. Plus, the new hinge design includes pressure distribution systems, heating elements to deal with cold temperatures, and internal flaps to reduce stress. Apple clearly does not want another Bengate situation on its hands. When unfolded, this device will be just 4.5mm thin, thinner than the iPad Pro, folded to around 9.5mm, still thicker than Samsung's latest but not by much, and with weight savings from the new glass technology, it should still feel manageable. Camera-wise, we're expecting a hole-punch selfie camera on the outer display and an under-display sensor on the inner screen. Fingers crossed that under-display tech is better than Samsung's first attempts, which, let's be honest, was kinda awful. Face ID might not make the cut due to the flexible OLED, but rumors do suggest Touch ID in the side button, like on the iPad Air, and honestly that's fine, it works, and it's more practical for this form factor. Now here's the real magic, the software. Apple isn't just stretching iOS across a tablet-sized screen. Word is they'll use a modified version of iPadOS, full multitasking, split view, drag and drop, floating windows, basically the iPad Pro experience but on a device that folds up into your pocket. That's the first step towards making a larger hybrid work. If they can nail the software experience in the folds, they'll be that much closer to scaling it to 18 or 20 inches. Battery life is always a challenge with foldables, but Apple has some tricks up its sleeve. They're moving to a 16nm display driver for better power efficiency and possibly a dual-cell battery layout to balance weight and thermal loads. Add the A20 chipset that'll likely launch next year, and Apple's usual silicon software synergy, and we might actually see decent battery life. As for pricing, brace yourself guys. Early estimates say it's going to land somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500. This is not for the average iPhone user, this is for the Apple superfan, the early adopter, the creator who needs a flexible mobile studio, and it's designed to pave the way for Apple's bigger foldable ambitions, because make no mistake, the iPhone Fold is just a starting point. Apple's long-term goal is clearly to redefine what a portable computer means. The 18.8-inch foldable MacBook-iPad hybrids, it's not cancelled, just postponed. And when it does launch, it could reshape both the Mac and iPad lineups completely. The big question is what it will run. iPadOS, macOS, or some hybrid we haven't seen yet? We shall wait and see. And most importantly, will Apple be the one to perfect the foldable form factor, just like they did with smartphones, tablets, and smartwatches? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Would you buy a foldable Mac that doubles as an iPad? Would you spend $2,000 on a foldable iPhone that replaces both your phone and your iPad mini? Or are foldables still just flashy gimmicks until Apple shows the world how to get it right? If you're enjoying this deep dive, by the way, into Apple's foldable future, hit that subscribe button. I've got weekly breakdowns, long-term reviews, and all the Apple leaks you care about, and we're just getting started. So to wrap up, the iPhone Fold is coming late 2026, book style, titanium, no crease, and full iPadOS multitasking in your pocket. But the real showstopper might be what comes next, a foldable MacBook-iPad hybrid that could launch as early as 2027 or as late as 2028. It all depends on the software, the supply chain, and whether Apple can pull off a seamless foldable experience at scale. If they do, this might be the biggest shift in Apple hardware design in a long time. And if they don't, well, we'll always have the iPad mini. Thanks for watching, like the video if you enjoyed it, drop your thoughts below, and I'll catch you in the next one.